So, in this segment, we're going to be talking about the farmers protesting against Australia's tariff free trade deal. So, fed up farmers are preparing to stage protests over the UK government plans to sign a tariff free trade deal with Australia and other countries, which they fear could lead to a food and cheap food, could lead to a flood of cheap food imports. So, it's a bit late to start protesting now, isn't it? Because the deal is going to be signed by the G7 summit. So, they're going to protest outside the G7 summit. So that's from the 11th to the 13th of June. So if you're going to protest at the G7 summit, right, where this thing is going to be signed, what makes you think you're going to stop it from being signed? Surely you should be protesting now. Surely that's when you should be protesting. But you're not. Like, why do people and industries in this country suck at protesting? Like, when we have the French around the corner, causing problems with their protests, doing blockades and things like that, and then you got the UK like, oh yeah, we're gonna park our tractor outside and we're gonna protest the signing. Like, fam, grow up. Like, you're not gonna achieve anything protesting like this. It's such a joke, honestly. World leaders are intent on, we mentioned that, farm lobby save Britain's farming. SPF is eyeing a protest outside the event to demonstrate the anger from the farming industry towards Boris Johnson's government. Like, not to mention the fact that these farmers voted Brexit, right? They voted because they thought they were going to get access to the single market and also other markets, right? Instead, you've got the opposite. You've got the exact opposite, where farmers in the EU, for now, still have, there are no non-tariff barriers. There are no non-tariff barriers for farmers in the EU trying to export to the UK, because we're not doing customs checks from EU goods, right? So they've got that. You've got Australian farmers who are going to start exporting cheap beef and stuff to the UK. So these farmers have lost, in part, mostly their export market to the EU, and they're not going to be able to compete with these sorts of beef because these countries can produce beef way cheaper. So you're not going to be able to compete with Australian farmers, New Zealand farmers, Canadian farmers, Brazilian farmers, American farmers, right? But they're going to be able to compete with you. So you've lost your main export market in the EU, and now you're going to have to compete with a load of other farmers. Congrats to you guys, the farmers of this country, because not only have you failed with your attempts to get these deals with Brexit, these unicorn deals, right? Not only are you going to have to compete with other countries now, right? You don't even know how to protest properly. Embarrassing. And this person here saying, the SPF founder saying, we need to fight for our lives. We have the fight of our lives to save our British values. What are British values? Because if British values are, cutting deals and causing problems with your nearest neighbours, we've done that. So what are British values? Is it, to lie to the public? So then we pretend to give them something good when we're not. Because that's what Brexit is, right? Are more farmers going to come out and say Brexit was a bad idea and really protest and really say they're not going to vote Conservative anymore? Are you going to do that? Because I don't think you are. If this Australia deal happens without tariff and quota protections for our industry, then our beautiful countryside and safe British food will be gone forever. Maybe you should have thought about that during the referendum. SPF is also urging farmers to use a letter template available at savebritishfarming.org to email MPs to sign up and get involved. The thing is, they don't care. They've got an 80-seat majority. 81 seats now. Do you think they're going to care about your little letterheads and all this stuff? The NFU have asked questions. I have no problem with the National Farmers Union saying that what specific meaningful safeguards for domestic agriculture will be included in our FTAs? None. Because they're going to be phased in over 15 years, but during that period there's going to be very little to no protection really for the farmers of this country. Why has the Trade and Agricultural Commission, which will need to scrutinise trade deals before being signed, not been set up yet? Well, you can only scrutinise the deal once it's been signed. That's what Parliament voted for. So does that answer your question? And they don't want scrutiny on these deals because these are rubbish deals for the UK. We're going to cover a story soon about secret courts and tribunals that will allow what's the article on? That are going to allow companies to sue governments if they make any kind of profit loss. If the government implement rules that are going to impact profits, the government can get sued for that. That's part of this deal. That's why they don't want any scrutiny. Like, it's not hard to figure out, lady. Webster asked why the government was such in a rush to offer Australia a free trade deal if it involved a 15-year transition period. It's for optics. That's why, because they want Brexit to look good. The EU don't have a deal with Australia. The UK are going to have a trade deal with Australia. That's why we're doing this, so we look good on the world stage. We're trying to look good in front of, our ex-partner. That's what the UK is doing. And truth be told, we're not doing great. That's the problem. Shadow Trade Secretary Emily Thornberry has written to Mistrust asking her to attend Parliament to face questions about the offer and what it means for farmers. Well, she's just going to lie anyway, so it's kind of pointless. She's a slimeball. The first proper debate on this deal should not take place after it's been signed, said Thornberry. Well, that's what's going to happen because Parliament can't scrutinise the deal until it's been signed. We still don't actually know all the deals of the UK-Japan deal because the UK won't publish it. And Japan is hard to translate. I don't think anyone's actually translated it into English yet properly. I'm not sure how the Japanese country works, like in terms of democracy or what kind of system they really have. Apart from Shinzo Abe is their prime minister, I think. Farm leaders fear signing a free trade deal with Australia could trigger a domino effect, with similar deals being done with other agricultural powerhouses like Brazil, the US, which will leave UK farmers unable to compete and risk their livelihood. That's what's going to happen. Brazil, massive agricultural power. The US, massive agricultural superpower. And they're going to flood the UK because there won't be tariffs and there won't be quotas. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to flood the UK market and they're going to kill domestic farming. But you guys knew what you voted for, right? So it says here almost 8 in 10 Brits believed imported food should meet the same environmental and animal welfare standards as food produced in the UK. That's not going to happen because otherwise we're not going to get these trade deals. The UK government, UK-Australia deal is expected to lead to similar pacts with New Zealand, another agricultural power, and Canada in the next few months. And that's why they're doing this, because basically this is a bat signal, you know, like in Batman where they have the bat signal to all the other countries that we're a soft touch, you can do deals with us, you can flood our country with cheap beef, and we're going to accept it. That's what this is. That's why we're signing this deal. It's a big bat signal to other countries. The Canadian government is seeking a comprehensive, ambitious agreement that further removes barriers to trade, including those faced by agricultural producers. I don't know what kind of standards the Canadians have for beef. I don't know if they use hormones and stuff like that, but if they do, they're going to look at getting rid of that barrier to enable more beef exports to the UK. A spokesperson for the Department for International Trade said, any deal we sign will include protections for the agricultural industry and will not undercut UK farmers or compromise our high standards. Does anyone believe that? Because I don't. The UK-Australia agreement could open the door to further low standards deals with large agri-producing nations such as Brazil and the US, which will undermine British farmers. That's definitely going to happen. This is the view of Food and Farming Alliance Sustain, which said the government was on a path to breaking its manifesto commitment not to undercut British farmers. So maybe the House of Lords could get involved here, but I'm not sure if they could really do a lot, because typically if a government breaks a manifesto promise and tries to pass legislation that breaches a manifesto promise, the House of Lords can really kick that bill into the long grass. But I don't know if they could do that for a trade deal. So I'm not sure if the fact that they're breaking their manifesto promise, again, is anyone surprised? If the farmers are surprised, then you guys are politically naive, to put it lightly, very politically naive. So Australia permits the use of twice the number of hazardous pesticides as the UK does, and uses 16 times more antibiotics in poultry production. And that's the stuff we're going to be importing, and these are the countries that the British farmer is going to have to compete with, and not export wise. We're not talking about UK farmers being able to export en masse British beef to these countries. We're talking about countries exporting a lot of beef to the UK. They're going to have to compete on the domestic front because they're not going to be able to compete on the international front, because British beef, I think pound for pound, is probably more expensive than beef in other countries because we have higher standards here and we don't have kind of that mass kind of mega corporation farming like they do in Australia. And that's who you're going to have to compete with now. And the fact is, this protest is a joke. You're going to protest outside the G7 where the government are going to sign the deal. Like, bruv, you should be out there now protesting because the deal hasn't been signed yet. Not when it's going to get signed. That's like the bad guy trying to save, that's like the hero of the film trying to save the victim after they're already dead. Like, well done, dude. You're going to save a corpse. Like, that's what this is right now. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.